Welcome back to another PSBA Season 2 Power Rankings, where this week we have the Week 1 rankings, after watching all 8 of our battles happen. My first comment about this week is that they were all really good battles and kind of blowouts in the same moment. Our closest battle was a 3-0, so the fact that everyone has a differential of +3 or above or -3 or lower shows that I feel like everyone prepped really well, and that for the people who won, for the ones who lost, maybe you could bring up your prep a little bit, or maybe just take a couple of tips that I'm throwing out in this video. Overall, it is just my opinion and Xiph's opinion. This week, Regi couldn't fully give power ranking thoughts, but he did give 3 rankings for me to work with on some tiebreakers, so that's what's going on here. So coming up number 16th is the Blazing Infernape in PK. PK lost this week to Xiph. He lost 6-0 with his -6 differential. The prep was interesting. I mean, there was very hard things to say about his, not hard, harsh things that I could say about his prep, but I'm not gonna get there about it. But he did carry some weird things. Nidoqueen was one of the most memorable things about his team that kind of stood out. Like we know this based off of last week, we know that his weaknesses of his team is that he doesn't really have any fast wall breakers or some very good wall breakers in general, and that his best one was Nidoqueen, especially if you give it Life Orb. Well, this week he brought Nidoqueen, but he brought Leftovers or Black Sludge, one of the two, I don't remember, and he didn't run Ice Beam on it. So you're already not Life Orbing it to make it hit harder, and you didn't put a check on it to hit Megalodi, where Megalodi would have been one of the things that would have been brought in on Nidoqueen on a switch almost half of the time. So I don't understand why he didn't have Ice Beam, and some other preps was an issue too. So maybe you should just think a little bit harder about prep. I don't know if it was a time thing or maybe you were thinking something else, but I'd take a little bit of time to think a bit harder. His plays are also pretty predictable. Watching the battle happen live, I could call out a play and PK would actually end up doing it, and I'd try to do it for Xiph, and I'd have no idea what he was doing. So, but then again, I will give it to PK. Xiph is a very good battler, and that's what the league will come out to find in the future, but that is why PK and the Blazing Infernape are ranked number 16. So coming in at number 15, we have the Sesame Street Sceptiles. Last week, he was ranked number 14, so only dropped 1. He only lost to me by 3. However, playing me and just in general, his plays were very predictable. I thought that sometimes he would maybe do something different, but he ended up not, which is why I'm kind of happy I didn't switch up how I played that match. But like me and Xiph ended up thinking is that his speed tiers ended up showing an issue because outside of Alakazam, that I knew that I could outspeed most things, and then even when he had up a Trick Room, I didn't make it that way, but my Mega Venusaur didn't even go, well, my Mega Venusaur went before my Miltank in something where I think he was hoping that he could outspeed and do some damage on it. So it just seemed that his prep didn't seem bad. I think the mindset just might be in the wrong spot, but his play was very predictable in my eyes, and maybe Xiph saw that as well. And like I said, Regi's not here this week, so comments are going to be a little bit shorter and not as in-depth as usual. But that is why Peeta and the Sesame Street Sceptiles are ranked number 15. Coming in at number 14 is the Boston Celebies, who, based off power ranking wise, has the biggest drop in ranking, being ranked 2 last week. He lost by 4 to Plasma this week. His early game was fairly good, but after Zygarde happened, everything went downhill. I understand that Zygarde is kind of like, oh, it's banned now. It's an Ubers. I get that. I don't think it deserves to be banned in League play, but it is a very versatile Mon. after that Z Sludge Wave, I think Pasty just got shook a bit. However, his prep was a little bit weird in terms of I think he should have brought a Scarfer to deal with some things. Uh, Speed was somewhat an issue, and there's better ways to deal with that Zygarde than countering with the Bulu, where I think Plasma looking at your team was, wow, Bulu's the only counter, so I think I should bring Sludge Wave anyway. Along with that, you got bodied by a Swoobat, my dude. I mean, I don't, that's not the main reason, but I want to bring it up. And this is kind of a big notice for everyone. Don't sleep on the Swoobat. The Swoobat is here. However, he did what he did. He did what he needed to do to get rid of it, which is perfectly fine. But it took a lot more effort than I think anyone would have needed it to. So, unfortunately, I love Pasty, but his early game onward and some of his prep was a little bit questionable, and that's why we have him at number 14. We have at number 13, we have the Minnesota Twin Needlers and the Dwinchell, who lost 4-0 to Emperor, previously ranked 6th. I will say that there was a lot of hacks in this game. However, I don't think hacks was the reason he lost. I believe that he still would have lost if hacks wasn't there, but it would have helped if it wasn't there in general with a lower differential. He did allow his offensive threats to become crippled, which is one of the issues. You can talk about how Kangaskhan got whittled down, and one of the biggest part was bringing it in on a Scald or Magellus and ended up getting burned. You can just say, yeah, that was hacks. Ooh, but the point of putting Scald on the moveset is that you want to try to burn someone and do the damage at the same time. Otherwise, we would end up running Surf and other moves instead. So it's kind of just, yeah, some hacks came out, but yeah, at the same time, you don't want to take the risk. He didn't really have any other counters to that Jellicent, from what I remember off the top of my head. And along with that, he was just outplayed. Emperor Phoenix seemed to know what Dwinchell was going to do on almost every play. So I think that just made him predictable, or maybe he just got outplayed in general. But with that said, that is why the Minnesota Twin Needlers are ranked number 13. So I would say coming in at number 12, but we have a tie for 11th. Like I said, Regi wasn't here to help with PRs this week, so we actually had a tie, and we're leading off with the Indianapolis Pawniards and Ruby. Ruby actually won 3-0 and was ranked 8th, and is now the lowest person on this list with a win under their belt. Well, tied at least. I don't. She won by setup hacks. From what I saw, she was getting bullied by Chase almost completely the whole game, and then out comes Scizor. Up goes a Swords Dance. Up goes another Swords Dance. Chase did exactly what he needed to do on bringing in that Mega Charizard X, and then she got a crit, and downhill the battle went. It went from Chase winning 3-0 to Chase losing 3-0 because of a +4 Swords Dance Scizor with Bullet Punch. So I don't think Ruby deserved that win fully. It looked like Chase was going to get that win completely. I think Chase is going to be out for revenge too. Along with that, the only real issue that I fully saw was Pawniard. I think that if Pawniard didn't come, yes, I understand it did some work. It got the Thunder Wave. I think it did Stealth Rocks. Yes, it did stuff. However, if Pawniard didn't come and Ruby brought Mega Lopunny, I feel like the battle, if it was played out all the way, would have been a very, very close battle, and that it would have been the closest one this week. So I'm just doubting the Pawniard a little bit. I understand why she wanted to bring it because she dropped it. Got to put some effort in there, and she wanted to have fun. Understandable. I'm not gonna sit there and criticize completely. But in terms of competitiveness, I feel like the Lopunny would have been a better shot. But otherwise, tied for 11th is the Indianapolis Pawniards and Ruby, along with the San Antonio Spurloins and Coach Brosiedon and co-coach Jacob. They also won convincingly 5-0 against Snowball. They were previously ranked 13th, so this is a good jump for them. My first thing to say is that they got saved by hacks. Before I get into that fully, Brosiedon and Jacob did have a really good prep and good play otherwise. I liked a lot of their moves. He knew what he was doing. However, he was very reliant on a special Mega Altaria coming. With that, his mindset and his prep was very reliant, where if Mega Altaria came physically, he was going to have a really hard time with it. I remember him saying that he brought Blastoise to wall special Mega Altaria because it was assault vested, special defensive, all of that stuff. And he said it in the team builder before the battle, and he kind of said it during the battle. And I understand all of his plays after watching his video. I really do. Everything makes sense. However, it came down to him relying on a special Mega Altaria, and after him finding out it was physical, I think he got a bit spooked, where Blastoise still dealt with it, but that's because Snowball got greedy, and Freeze got the Spurloins out of their loss. If the Mega Altaria attacked earlier, or if it didn't freeze at all, they would have lost this game. However, the freeze happened and they won, so I think it was very good battling, I think it was great play. However, there was being outplayed in the fact that you won by freeze, that I have to rank you guys tied with 11th with Ruby. Moving on to number 10, we have the East Anglia Electivires with Regi, who was previously ranked number 1. After losing to Jolty 4-0, there's just some things to say, and one of it was a lack of prep. There was no defog on Rotom on a Charizard Y team, which I don't get at all. You didn't have a way to get rid of anything. Once rocks were up, they were up, unless he decided to get rid of them. But you played against Jolty, and Jolty doesn't really have a big rocks weakness, well, at least not as big as you. And so I feel like you should have brought defog or maybe a rapid spinner, especially for someone who always says that you need to have a certain amount of defoggers and a certain amount of rapid spinners and stuff like that to clear the field, things like that. So I'm kind of disappointed that you didn't bring defog on Rotom, or at least a removal on another mon. And then I understand that your game plan of going into Florages was the Charizard set with the Fire Blast, Overheat, and the Sun. But I think there's a better way to deal with Florages in general. I feel like you could have brought a different mon or thrown a move onto someone that might have maybe like the Steel or a sort of poison type move, anything really. I mean, I'm not going to get into the basics and say what you should have done, but I feel like there is a better way that you could have dealt with Florages in general. With that said, that is why Regi's ranked number 10. Moving into number 9, we have the Sydney Sableyes, who's ranked number 4 last week. Tepig is 0-1 this season, -5 differential. He lost to TBail. He played a very good early game, which is fine. But after that, some misplays hurt his overall gameplay, where it wasn't like, oh, I did this one tiny thing, whatever. He had bigger misplays, and there was only like 2 or 3 of those misplays, but it affected the rest of the game from that point onward. Even though he lost 5-0, it doesn't show how well he played the game through his differential, And if you guys don't understand why I'm ranking Tepig at number 9, and for someone who lost by 5, I'd suggest that you go and look at his differential. Otherwise, those misplays that he made. And off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I forget about which plays they were specifically, but those misplays that he made just hurt his overall game, and that's why he's coming in ranked at number 9. So coming in at number 8, we have the Cincinnati Sacreds and Snowball, who lost to Brosiedon 5-0, who was previously ranked 12. Like I said for Brosiedon, the only reason he won was because of the freeze hacks, and the only reason the freeze hacks came was because of Snowball being a very greedy boy. I don't think he should have set up that much. I wasn't doing the calcs, so I don't know if the all those dragon dances and roosts were needed. However, I feel like he was being very greedy and that he could have attacked earlier, and that the differential would have not only been lower, but that he might have actually won. Along with that, the only prep that I say that his prep seemed iffy, but the only thing I really know is that I feel like his Celesteela set could have been better. It was the typical Celesteela. He didn't really have any way to deal with anything that came in to body the Celesteela, so once something came in that could actually hurt the Celesteela, he had to switch Celesteela right out because he didn't have anything to do against it. And otherwise, I mean, he played very well, and I think he would have won if hacks didn't happen, and that's why I have Snowball ranked at number 8. Coming in at number 7, I believe this is the biggest jump from last week's power rankings is the Florida Frostlass and Plasma coming in number 15 last week, and this time he won against Pasty with a 4-0 victory. He had a very good prep, and that it was very strong. I was very impressed. Knowing bringing Sludge Wave onto Zygarde, making it a mixed Zygarde, and putting Poisonium Z on it was, I'd say, pretty amazing because I didn't expect that to come. I was expecting a switch. Maybe other people did, but that's how I saw it. I am going to bring in Go Team Swoobat Woo. Otherwise, I wouldn't rely on Swoobat like this all the time, but I do have to give credit. That was a very good Swoobat set. And then he did have a couple of confusing plays. I mean, off the top of my head, it was just kind of like I remember some things with Kartana and against the Steelix, and then like a double out and stuff like that. And it was just kind of like, what you doing there? I don't know your mindset, but otherwise, I mean, those confusing plays ended up working for you in the long run, and I'd like to say that that was a very well-earned victory for you, Plasma, and that's why you're ranked number 7. Coming at number 6 is me, after a 3-0 win against Peeta. Technically, I went down a spot, and I don't really have much on myself because Regi wasn't here, so anything that was me and Xiph related in PRs is based off of our opinions only, and we don't talk about ourselves. So, in terms of what Xiph saw, I played Spiritomb very well, but badly at the same time, where switching in on a Z-Psychinium was a very good play, but at the same time letting it get crippled like that really early was also bad, which I can agree with. I wish Spiritomb stayed longer. I didn't have any really good ways of recovery outside of Pain Split, and that one Pain Split I used didn't even help that much, which kind of sucks. And then the only other thing that Xiph really had to say was that the Kyurem play where I went for Shadow Claw instead of using any other type of move was showing that I'm kind of like, oh, super effective moves are in my head all the time. I have my reasons on why I went for Shadow Claw. I'm not going to reveal those reasons, however, but I do agree with Xiph that maybe I do have that mindset in my head because normally I do check things like I said. in the PR, not in the PR, in my battle recording, the first thing I looked at when I did the Zeraora versus Zam was how much knockoff did, and then I looked at Plasma Fists. So I guess I will agree with Xiph saying that I do get stuck, that super effective moves kind of get stuck in my head, and that I should think about other things at the same time. And with those comments alone, that's why I end up being ranked number 6. At number 5, we have the South Norfolk Wyverns. I'm hoping I pronounced it right this time. With Kangaroo Jolty as the coach, he won 4-0 against Regi. I have a lot of good to say about Jolty, but there's nothing that I can everything I say doesn't beat what's put above him, which is why he's ranked number 5. For what seemed like a really bad matchup against Regi, he had very great prep and ended up pulling out a win, which I'm actually I'm very shocked by that. I believe that Regi was going to win coming into the matchup. No offense to Jolty, he's a great battler, but it just seemed like a bad matchup. And whatever set he did his gorges, it was pretty damn good. Not gonna lie. The only thing I have to say about the Florges set is that maybe he could have run Toxic on it. I didn't see Toxic at all. Maybe he did have it. I don't remember off the top of my head. I didn't take a second to look at all of the moves that was revealed. But otherwise, it was a pretty good Florges set. And Jolty played the game very well. And yeah, I know everyone can sit here and say, well, you didn't say anything negative about Jolty, but he's only number 5, and that's because the people that are ranked above Jolty did just as well. It's just that they played at a more high standard level. So I love you, Jolty, but you're ranked number 5 this week. Coming in at number 4 is the Detroit Pincers, and this is going to be very controversial because out of 16 teams, at number 4, I have someone who's 0-1 with a -3 differential. Yes, Chase lost to Ruby. I get that. However, like I said when I was talking about Ruby, Chase played very, very well. He bullied Ruby the whole game, and the only reason that he lost was because of the +4 bullet punching Scizor, who got a crit on his Mega Charizard who could have taken the hit. The only play that I can say was bad for Chase was that he went for Rapid Spin on the Scizor when there was no hazards on the field. And it wasn't, I just don't understand it. I'm not gonna sit here and call him out and be like, hey, what you doing, sort of thing. But that was the only bad play I saw. Otherwise, Chase, I'd say, dominated the whole game against Ruby. And I really think Chase should have won that game. And for that reason, that is why I've Chase ranked number 4. Coming in at number 3, I factored in the Hartford Haxorus, who won against PK 6-0. Last week he was ranked 10, so he went up 7 spots. Like I said, I only have my comments for this. I don't have anything from anyone else. So from what I saw, he had a solid gameplay, and he had a really good prep. I don't know if it was because he read PK like a book, or he just knew what he was doing, but he played very well. His only bad play was that he used TBail, and when he used TBail, Nidoqueen switched in instead, so it did nothing. That was the only bad play. I saw nothing else wrong with how Xiph played. I thought it was almost, it was pretty damn spotless. And that is why I have Xiph ranked at number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have the Westchester Walreins, and Emp. He got the win against Dwinchell +4, and he had a very solid performance. I think that, yeah, like I said again when I was doing Dwinchell's, calling Hacks, the boy who cried Hacks, sure, there's going to be someone that's like, oh, Hacks did everything, but even having a conversation with Emperor and Dwinchell about this, Dwinchell did understand about what happened. It was a very solid performance. Emperor seemed to saw what was coming, even in that, without the Hacks, that Emperor most likely would have won. And with that said, just because of how Emperor ended up playing, Dwinchell is a very good battler, but Emp did outplay him fairly well in this battle. And I'd like to give, not like to give, but Emperor did very well, and he didn't have any misplays. He knew what he needed to do. He did everything right. And the only person that I can say ranks above him is our number one rank in the Los Angeles Larvatars and TBail. TBail is probably, with a 1-0 win, 5-0 against Tepig, was very, very well. Last week he was ranked number 11, and we said that he was a disappointment to the coaches, but this week TBail actually came out, and out of me and Xiph both ranked him number 1, and I asked Regi for 2 rankings, and he ended up giving me 3, and he gave me that TBail deserved either spot 1 or spot 2. So TBail just won all of the coaches back. Along with that said, TBail played nearly spotless. He made one bad play, and that was when he switched in Greninja when what me and Xiph think was an obvious U-turn off of Incineroar was coming, which did big damage onto the Greninja. That was the only play that we saw bad. Otherwise, TBail knew what he needed to do to win, and he played that way, and he played really spotlessly. And this is nothing against Tepig. We already talked about Tepig. The -5 for Tepig doesn't show enough justice about how well Tepig played. It really just shows how well TBail ended up playing this week. And that is why TBail and Los Angeles Larvatars are actually ranked number 1. And before this video ends, I would like to briefly go over the MVP rankings for some big performances, and I'd say that one of the most shocking performances of the week was what came from the Swoobat. The biggest differential in terms of Pokemon is that Scizor has 6 kills and no deaths, putting it at a +6 in the MVP race. There are a bunch of other Mons that are +4. I don't think we have any +5s. I didn't write it down, but that is how the MVP race is looking. And I know it's early in the season, but sometimes some people like to hear stuff like that from some comments I got off of our last power ranking video. So with that said, I hope everyone has a nice week too, and that we all get our battles done, and I wish everyone the best of luck. Thank you guys. Peace.